Hello, everybody. My name is Tim Daniel, and welcome to another fantastic Friday night edition of Late Night Reds on the Riverfront. Gotcha. I almost said to introduce your show. But I am Tim Daniel. As I said, I'm here with the godfather of the Riverfront, Mr. Chad Dotson himself. How are you, pal?
Oh, fantastic. Excited to be talking Reds baseball.
Yeah. I love that we do this thing in podcasting where, like, when we have people on shows, we act like we didn't talk before the camera turned on. So I'm like, we didn't just have like a few minutes of rebuttal before I said, how are you? Like, that didn't happen. We just magically, you were here.
Exactly. I've never spoken to you except when we're on a podcast, actually.
Yeah.
Never outside the podcast.
Yeah, it never worked out. It just was weird that way. So I wanted to start the show because I had a really, really funny story I had to tell. And I'm so glad that you joined me for this because I know you're someone who really appreciates this as much as like I do. And I've realized this thing that like this goofy joke I made has really turned into something. So, you know, like I made the thing whenever we talk about Jose Barrera, we play the Coming to America bit, right? So the whole like Soul Glow thing. Yeah, Pat, it is the fastest weekend ever. I promise this is the only Friday night. Easter Sunday, I will be back to my regular scheduled programming. And so what I had to do to make that, which is kind of, you know, inside baseball behind the curtain here, is I had to, of course, rip it from YouTube to get the MP3 file, do that whole thing, edit in Audacity, upload it. So, of course, you know, that means it shows up on your watch history on YouTube. My wife texted me yesterday while I'm at the game. Why did you watch a Soul Glow commercial on YouTube?
Oh, did you explain it?
I absolutely explained it. But I figured she would know because she knows how much I love Coming to America. So I figured she would understand. I didn't see Coming to America. I read your review and was like, I'm out.
Yeah, it was disappointing because the first one, Coming to America, was just amazing. I mean, it really just a classic of the genre. I guess the genre being comedy, which is
probably my favorite comedy, honestly.
Not my favorite, but man, I'll watch it over and over and over. It never gets old, and obviously Eddie Murphy's a genius, and so. But yeah, Soul Glow. Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, the last time that we had Carlos on, I think someone, I guess it was Nate, hit that and played it, and or maybe it was when I was with you. I don't remember what it was, but I almost had to take myself off the screen because I got sort of tickled. Every time that happens, I giggle a little bit because that's what I do. But anyway, it's a good running gag. I'm looking forward to them playing that in the stadium when he does something special.
I feel like that could be bigger than when you guys did sell the Team Bob shirts.
Like, I hope so.
I really feel like Jamie Ramsey's a very good friend of mine. Jamie, I know you're watching. Probably not. But if you're watching, you know the right people. We can make this happen.
Got to make that happen. Absolutely.
Shout out Jamie. That's my guy. I love him to death. Let's talk about yesterday's game. Obviously, I want to first start by saying, obviously, it's yet another record broken for attendance at the stadium. So that was great. I don't know how you continuously break a record when there's a limited amount of seats, but such is life. I just, that's not my business, obviously. But man, I thought the atmosphere was great. It felt like a real opening day for the first time in years. I thought the crowd was awesome. I thought I went down to the banks a little bit before, had a couple beers. I actually literally had a guy who like came up to me, and was like, "Hey, I don't want to wait in line. If you let me cut in front of you, I'll buy your beers." And I was like, "No brainer." Okay, so
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll
and
take
so
that
that was
deal. Yeah.
cool, right? And then we just went in the stadium, watched the game. Um, yeah, I just want to start first by saying like the crowd was great. It was awesome to feel that energy again. I know it always is special on opening day. I hate that it does this major drop off come Saturday for opening night, but such is life. But man, I don't know how it was on television, but I just really had a great time.
No, it was incredible. I mean, it really was. There's this sort of sense of apathy that's around the club, and I worried coming up to the game because they'd had so much trouble selling out opening day. They never have trouble selling opening day. But then you get there, and well, I wasn't there, but seeing the pictures, seeing the video, and it was just classic Reds opening day. One of our friends, a friend of the show, a guy named Dwight Kelly. He'd moved to the area here recently, and it was his first opening day, and so he went to the parade and the game, and just seeing his pictures and hearing him talk about how much he loved that experience. It's it's something that I've talked about some, but it's not about baseball. Opening day is not about baseball, and yesterday proved it. Opening day in Cincinnati is about Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I should say it's not about the Reds as much as it is about baseball in Cincinnati. I guess I would say the team is, it's sort of irrelevant how good the team's going to be, because it's a Cincinnati thing. And I saw the pictures, especially outside on the banks, outside the stadium, and just a massive, massive crowd. I was like, this is it. And I love that a lot of, national reporters were sort of acting like they were surprised. I think, whoa, this is crazy. They really do it right in Cincinnati. And that's what we want people to see. And, that's the way it's going to be in October. One of these days, I have to keep believing, but good vibes only about opening day. I'm so glad that it ultimately was a sellout. And that, I wish the result had been better, but again, the result kind of doesn't matter, especially this year. Everybody had a good time, and I don't know, Cincinnati put its best foot forward, and I'm all here for it. I'm so here for it. In the last week and a half, I've written 3 different columns about opening day. That's how much I love it. It's ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous, but whatever. That's me. I just love it.
If you're not subscribed to Chad's Substack, I highly suggest it, not just because he paid me to say it, but I really do suggest it.
Checks in the mail.
Yeah. So, real quick about the game. I know you and Nate did a live show right after, and kind of talked about it with some of the crew. I think the easiest thing to say is, look, you can't walk the Pirates 9 times, and you can't strike out 14 times as a team. Spencer Steer was the only guy in the lineup that did not strike out yesterday. So, and Fraley was, the last at bat. That happens. Whatever. I thought Fraley played really well. Steer was great. I thought defensively they did some really good things, man. Barrero had this one play. I know I'll click the button here in a second, where he tracked the ball down the gap, especially with the new shift rules that he threw the runner out of first. It might have been Carlos Santana that he threw out, so I'll give it there. But man, so one of the plays he made there was great. But it's like they certainly had their chances to win. Stevenson grounds into a double play, and in the first inning with no run, with bases loaded, nobody out. That hurts. Will Benson has the bases loaded, strikes out. Jonathan India, has a double in the 9th inning. They can't. TJ Friedel and Jake Fraley strike out. It's baseball. It happens. But they had their chances to win. Things just didn't work out. But the only thing that just really annoyed me, was really frustrating, was how many walks they gave up and how many times they struck out the plate.
Yeah, I was telling someone yesterday evening, we were talking about it, and it was like, the new rules with the pitch clock, where pitchers, and I'm sure we'll get into the rules and how that went. Pitchers can't always throw max effort every pitch. So, and with the shift rules, I was thinking, well, maybe the idea is to get the ball in play more this year. And what do we see in the Reds opening day game? Walks and strikeouts. Exactly what we've been seeing. Now, it was the Reds and Pirates, not exactly the 2 best teams in the league. Yeah. But yeah, the walks will haunt, as we always say, and just you can't do it. You just can't do it. I mean, Hunter Green had 3, Fernando Cruz had 3 in a very, very short period of time, and the bullpen then settled down, but still the rest of the bullpen collectively had 3. You can't do it. You just can't do it. There were lots of good, positive things to discuss, obviously.
Yeah.
That's not one of them, but yeah, the defense, I've been a little bit concerned about, not concerned, but I've been interested to see how the defense is going to be. Jonathan India specifically, we didn't see anything good or bad really from him necessarily, but early returns on the team's defense was good. We don't draw any grand conclusions about anything, either good or bad on day one. Except I'm completely off the Will Benson hype train after one game. No, I'm not. That's my guy. But yeah, we're starting to learn some things, I guess is the way I'd put it.
Yeah. I think the big thing too, I know a lot of people, and we'll get into, I guess we'll go there. So, I've been a proponent of David Bell for a long time. I've thought he deserved more of a benefit of the doubt that he's been given. I think he gets blamed for a lot of stuff that's really out of his hands, obviously. But I don't think he really did a really good job managing the game yesterday, to be honest with you. I think there's, the Hunter Green thing I know is going to be the thing everyone's going to talk about. I honestly did not have a huge issue with that necessarily. He did have 83 pitches at the time he pulled him. If you look around opening day starters, I mean, Garrett Cole, granted 6 innings, 11 strikeouts, had 96 pitches. A lot of these guys were getting pulled in these like 85 to 95 pitch areas that were starters in opening day. So I didn't think that was an issue for the first start of the season. Hunter Green, if all goes as planned, is going to have about 29 more starts this year. So, I'm okay with like him not lasting for the full time here. Where I was worried was, we've talked about this all off season, for 4 years now, was what happens when, you need your bullpen to hold a game. And for the most part, like Alex Young looked really good his inning in a couple. I think he did about an inning in 2/3. Don't have the box score right in front of me, but Buck Farmer is a guy that I think was, definitely like pitched way better than expected last year. I expected him to kind of come in and still be pretty good this year. And had a really rough inning. His velocity looked down. I was more like frustrated in like the Buck Farmers and the Fernando Cruzes than I was the Hunter Greens by any means.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree with that. In terms of David Bell, just to circle back to where you started that, I think I probably let Hunter Green go another batter or two, but I can't really argue. He was at 83 pitches. Can't really argue about it. I would like to argue about it. I don't think that highly of. Oh, there you go, Pat Magooch.
Love
Benson
it.
Bomb tomorrow. We're going to talk about Will Benson, I'm sure of it. Because
absolutely.
I'm still irrationally in love with that guy, despite his difficult Reds debut. Are we having a love stream next time, Pat? What is that? Next love what? Pat Magooch. Late night Reds after dark.
Just let it shine through.
My thing on David Bell is that I don't think David Bell's a very good manager. I also don't think he's the worst manager in the world. I think he's just a manager, and he's going to do dumb things. But he's not. We watch him 162 games, so we feel like every bad thing he does gets magnified. He's like 95% of other managers, frankly, in most ways. But yeah, this bullpen, I agree with you. But on the other hand, when the guys we're talking about are Fernando Cruz and Derek Law and
who pitched well,
who did Derek Law? I shouldn't criticize him. I'm not trying to criticize him. He looked really good in an inning in 2/3, and as did Alex Young. But when these are the names we're talking about, and Ian Jabot pitching the final inning, is that the guy you want closing out games? And he wouldn't be maybe if they were winning, but still, some of the criticisms about David Bell go back to what you said earlier, which is he hasn't been given a hand to play with for most of his time here. But he's gonna if they start poorly, he's gonna be called to account. He's gonna be on the hot seat, I predict.
Yeah, and that's what I'm scared of. Because I think Brian Price wasn't necessarily a good manager. But I also think kind of the same thing. Like his feet were held to the fire on a lot of things that weren't his fault.
Yeah.
And so like they had Riggleman, who was a minimally manager in the past, so they were like, we'll give it a shot. There's no guy here if that's the case, right? Like there's no Jim Riggleman on this staff. So that's worrisome. And look, we're overanalyzing one game. I totally understand this because we're one game into a season. We've had a long off season. I get it. So this is going to be. So I'm trying to like not act like the world's ending right here by any means. But
I'm sorry. Can we put Carrick's comment back up there really quickly?
Sure, yeah, by all means. Shout out Carrick Melvin, who, like, dude, I have to tell you, saves my life with minor league content every week. Just helps me out, sends me a bunch of stuff. Like, this is what's going on. Like, I shout out my guy Carrick Melvin.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great point. I think this comes to second guessing little things about the first game. And if it had gone differently, maybe we wouldn't have said anything. But I think Alex Young was pretty good last year. I was happy he made this team. I was happy when the Reds signed him. I thought that guy would get a major league deal somewhere. Not a big money major league deal, but I thought he might. I was pleased that we were able to get him. Yeah, I think maybe bringing him at that moment might have been the better. But we can nitpick these things. But again, that's what we do, I guess. We nitpick. We only have one game to nitpick so far, so let us do it. But anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you where you were going with that. I just who on? I think you were going to who on staff. I don't think there is anyone on staff unless well, I don't know. I don't see anyone on the staff that could take over.
This goes back to, I think you might have said this in the past. This shows how long I've been following Chad Dawson's work, and like this is something I like hampered for. I think this goes back to when they replaced Dusty Baker. Terry Francona had not been hired by the Indians yet, and I just wanted him so bad, and it didn't work out. He went to Cleveland. Things have been good for him there. He's been to a World Series. He's won some divisions. I think, and like you said, like managers are so like finding a good one is so hard. I think Dusty was a better manager than he was obviously given credit for. Just won a World Series, obviously. Was really good here. Managed 390 win teams. And, I think we're kind of in a situation here where ever since then they've been searching for somebody who can stick through. But yeah, Tito would have been like just ideal. Didn't work out. But like, how many good major league managers are just sitting there waiting for a job at this point? You know what I mean? Like, it's just not common.
Yeah. No, people, because we watch him so much, people don't realize how bad most other managers are, or just average. They're all the same these days. They're not all the same. When you get a good one, Terry Francona, the guy that can last the test of time, you can tell who's good and who's not. Dusty Baker. And I've said publicly, I was unfairly critical of Dusty Baker. Yes, his magic doesn't work in the playoffs. He does so many dumb things during a game that it was magnified to all of us. But that guy has something. He has something that works in the clubhouse that works to get a team ready 162 games a year. So, again, I'm not sure that it even matters who the manager is right now. It might matter next year if the Reds start turning the corner a little bit. Right now, I would prefer someone who's comfortable, which Dusty would not have been, playing the kids. Somebody that's willing to play the kids, because that's all I want out of this season. Play as many of these kids as you can bring up. As soon as you draft somebody, just go ahead and put them on the 40-man. Let's get them in here. I don't care. That's all I want to see.
I'm with it. I like it. I'll tell you one thing, man. So, we'll talk about some of the acquisitions. So Will Myers obviously had 2 strikeouts, but had a walk and a really good at bat. He got a base hit up the middle. Jason Vossler, that triple he ripped, was so funny because one of the guys we were talking about before we came on, our good friend Steve Offerman from Late Night Red. No, I'm Late Night Reds. Sorry, Locked On Reds. Can you tell Friday nights are not my night to do a show? Tweeted, "Why is Jason Vossler on this team?" And 10 seconds later has a triple to tie the game. So that was hilarious. Shout out Steve, love you guy. But I thought that was funny. So, he's a guy that kind of like is very, very small sample size, has played really well, pretty well, decent major league level at over 800 OPS last year with the Giants. I'm fine with it. But it's, again, we're talking about one baseball game here.
Yeah, and with Vossler, you're talking about, it's had 77 games, I think, over 2 years, and he's 29 years old. So let's not expect too much, but my thing was, I think the Reds got in a little bit of a jam there. I think that if Christian Encarnacion Strand had not injured his back, he probably makes his big league debut. And so I have less of a problem than playing Vossler, because that's a position that's going to be filled by others all year. He's not going to be, he's the open day starter. He's going to be the answer to a trivia question someday. But so I didn't really have that much of a problem with it. I don't understand why he's batting 5th, but I guess he's proved me wrong, because dude hits a ball down the line and legs out a triple. Bring it on. Joey Votto may never get his position back, I think we've decided.
Yeah, right. Exactly. DH for eternity from now on.
Bring it on. I'm here for it.
Yeah, and then so like I said, Will Myers had some really good at bats. Will Benson, I know the panic level was hit pretty hard for a guy who also has like 75 major league at plate appearances. If that. I don't have his baseball reference page in front of me. I'm sure someone can tell me. But 0 for 4, 4 strikeouts. I don't think he's going to have a worse game than that in his Reds tenure. So let's just go ahead and get that one out of the way. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I've been very vocal that I just love this kid.
Me
and he
too.
may fall flat on his face. He may not. I mean, because again, we have sort of a smallish sample size last year in AAA where he really cut down the strikeouts and was a really productive hitter. He's also, he was obviously a blue chip type of prospect originally. Someone had a comment here a moment ago about whether he was overly amped up or just whether the moment was pretty big. There we go. Our buddy Joey Gaditza. I think Benson was overamped, excited to be on the team, and opening day combo nerves maybe. And some people look at that and say he's a professional baseball player. He's getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to perform. Well, let me just say something. If you've never started on opening day, if this is your first game in a city and you're there in front of that crowd and all that excitement, come on. He's 24 years old. If he's a little nervous, I'm not gonna hammer him too hard for that. So that might have been something to do with him. Might have been just a little too. I don't know. Probably. We'll see what he does when there's 12,000 people in the stands the next 80 games.
Right.
I hope not, but
well, the Yankees come to town in May, so that'll
exactly. Yes. They'll have a few more fans there. And then when the stupid Cubs show back up, always some blue shirts there. But that's a possibility. I don't know. I mean, he really, I don't really look overmatched. He kind of looked overmatched. 4 strikeouts, and you don't want to get the golden sombrero in your first outing. But I don't know. There's something about that kid. I love the stance. I love the swing. He's going to hit a ball 500 feet at some point this year. We're all going to be like, what did we just see?
Yeah.
I hate it for him. I hope he's not beating himself up too bad. And I also hope that he is starting on Saturday. I hope that, don't sit that kid after that bad game. Keep him in the lineup. Let him go right back out there. And I will be calling for David Bell to be fired if Will Benson's not starting.
Where are you on pitch cascade? 105 or not 105 getting scrapped?
It had to be 105, 105.2. How dare they take that away? If y'all didn't see that, one of Hunter Green's pitches registered at 105.2, and then they said, oops, maybe not. Never mind. Forget it. No, it was clearly 105. I thought it was like 107, so I don't know what they were saying.
Right. Sheesh. Gosh, people. It's like Slugfest, that old video game when they got the fastball would be like 122 from Randy Johnson.
Nice.
It was always fun.
Nice.
Did you see that thing in the Athletic, by the way? Well, in the Athletic, where they were talking about how Randy Johnson's getting his pictures in Cooperstown, like, because he's a big photographer now?
I didn't see that, but I knew he's a photographer. I mean, he's like a serious photographer now. I mean, like, and really good, evidently. Yeah. No, I didn't see that.
He took pictures for Topps. So, like, he's doing baseball cards for Topps.
Awesome. There was a story, I don't know, 7-8 years ago or something, more of that maybe. Someone asked Joey Votto, what do you want to do when he retires? He said something like he wanted to drive a bus or be a crossing guard or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's sort of interesting to me that Randy Johnson, literally one of the greatest pitchers that ever lived. There's no chance that don't say that, Carrick. I don't want to hear that. No, he has to play. Got to get him in the lineup. I just love that he's gone out and chosen a career, quote unquote, that is not dependent on his name. Maybe he gets credentials places because of his name, but you still have to produce the work. The pictures have to be good, and he's clearly really good at it and takes it seriously. So I love stories like that. That's fantastic. I'm going to go find that. I didn't see that article. I want to find that.
Also, the greatest logo ever for a business, because it's just the bird that's like flopped over is his logo. So gotta appreciate that he's in on the joke.
I guess that poor bird. Not good.
Other crazy story. A kid I went to high school with, his dad has that ball.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say has the bird.
No.
That would have been weirder. Yeah. That would have been...
Yeah.
Really? How does he have the ball?
Won it in like one of those Goldman Sachs auctions.
Really?
I think it was Goldman Sachs. I could be wrong in the financial institution, but yeah, won it in an auction.
I've never won anything at a Goldman Sachs auction.
Amazing. Me neither. Yeah. I've also never bid at a Goldman Sachs auction.
Me either.
But gotta bid to play, I guess. Split the pot yesterday at the ballpark was like in the 160,000 area.
Really?
Yeah, someone could have paid off their house if they won. So,
yeah, I just want to, since you mentioned split the pot, something that's been bugging me for about 3 or 4 years now. I have a really good friend, and he's a doctor, so he's doing okay. Like he's really doing okay. This son of a gun goes to they just happen to be traveling past Atlanta. Say, oh, let's go to a Braves game. And it's a packed house, and the split the pot with some crazy amount as well. That son of a gun wins it. I'm like, you're the last guy that I know that needs to win that thing. I'm still mad at him about it. I'm like, dude, I work for the government most of my life. I need to win that thing. Oh,
we're struggling journalists that have a podcast on Friday nights.
Exactly.
So could you please share the money with us? Yeah.
But you're telling me that you didn't win it at the ballpark yesterday.
No, I did not. No, I did not I was not able to pay for my daughter's college yet, unfortunately. But that day will come.
Keep playing.
Where are you on? This was a big conversation, and I don't understand why. I thought it was the right call. I just thought he was out. So Stuart Fairchild comes in, pinch runs for Spencer Steer, gets thrown out on a strikeout throwout. No issue with the decision, especially with the way they're trying to enforce base running a little more. I know a lot of people were upset about the replay. I thought it was too close to flip it over. I thought he was out.
I in real time, I thought, oh, he might have been safe. And I saw the replay, and I was like, actually, I don't know either way. And so when you don't know either way, that's clearly not enough to overturn it, because the call on the field was out. So you have to have clear evidence. And then I saw the tweets coming in that were just outraged that replay had screwed it up again. Now, listen, if you want somebody to argue against replay, I'm here for it. It has ruined every single sport that I love. It's ruined basketball. The last 2 minutes of basketball games are awful now. It's ruined soccer. The VAR in soccer is just, it's terrible. You can't celebrate a goal anymore. That one, I don't want to defend the replay, but I can't say definitively they got it wrong. I don't know how you could look at that and say they got it wrong. But man, some people were, that's Twitter for you though. You can't have an opinion unless you're extremely certain about your opinion and willing to die on that hill. And I'm with you. I didn't see it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I could have seen the case for him being safe. Don't get me wrong. I definitely could have. But when it was like they were at the stadium, they were doing the thing where they were like zooming in on the tag, and it was like, oh, okay. And like, look, it's one of those things. It's a bang bang situation. But I'm gonna be mad about it because I hate the Pirates. But that's about it. That's the only thing I'm mad about. First off, Joe, John Sadak will always have swanky suit jackets. That is his game. We actually, back in the days when we were on Believe, when he came on one time, do you remember they did the telethon, I think his first year, and they gave out those Hawaiian shirts? We were like, hey, next time you're on the show, you need to wear that. And this was like months later we had him on the show. It was the off season.
Yeah.
And he had the Hawaiian shirt on. He was like, I remembered. So he's literally the greatest thing to happen to this franchise in the last 4 years. I could not be more grateful to have John Sadak calling games for my favorite team. And I'm not just saying that because he's my friend. I really just think he's the best.
Well, what I like about the guy, and I've got to know him some as well because he's a genuinely good guy. But I guess how I got to know him is he really cares about his place in this organization and in this city. And you can if you may not like the way he calls the game. I do. I think it's great.
Love it.
I hated the way he called the first round NCAA tournament game, Furman versus Virginia Cavaliers. But I hated the way he called that one. But he's technically very good. But that whatever, whether you like him or don't like the way he calls games, I just love that he came in immediately and I need to learn about this city. I need to learn about this franchise. And he's genuinely cares about the fan experience and all the history around you could get some guy in who is just a technically perfect announcer, but is just a kind of a mercenary maybe. And I think Cincinnati appreciates a guy that, he's not necessarily a homer when he calls the games. He's a pro. Yeah. But he does care. I think it's the best way to put it. That's sort of a strange thing to say about a broadcast, but it's the first thing that appealed to me about it is how much he jumped into this organization and its history.
Yeah, and especially like he did his homework a lot more than previous play-by-play men for this franchise. not to name any names. We're just gonna move on with that part. So yeah, but he's definitely a guy that like, I know you text me after we had him on a couple weeks ago because I brought up the Furman Virginia game because I loved the call. I'm sorry that they lost, but
whatever.
Such
I'm
as
used
life.
to it. No big deal. Yeah.
But I thought he was, I just think he's great. And like you said, like when he came on our show the first time, he knew who we were. Like that was really cool. Like he was like, "Hey, yeah," he's like, "I see your tweets. You're really enjoyable. You guys were really talented. You guys really cared." It was really nice. And like when my daughter was born, he actually sent me a message and was like, "Hey, congratulations! This is the best thing's ever gonna happen to you. Like, enjoy everything about it. Just the greatest guy, man." But I could do an hour John Sadak love fest. Believe me.
Let's do it. That'll be the love stream that Pat Magooch was talking about earlier.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go around the Central real quick, and we can obviously start with the opposition yesterday. There was 2 interdivisional games in the Central. And talk about the Pirates. It's not a team I expect to have a very good year, obviously. I'm very pissed off they're going to get Dylan Cruz in June. Really, really mad about it because that kid is freaking unbelievable. But they already have a guy right now who's a kid who is freaking unbelievable. O'Neal Cruz is the truth, man.
He's the real deal.
My God. So the second pitch of the game, he almost takes yard. In July, that's yard. Like that's probably in the bleachers. The 100 green pitch clock violation, gets the extra ball, hits the home run. Like that was a masterful at bat. It seemed like everything he did have an error. Well, I didn't think they counted an error where he missed the ball in the field.
Right.
But dude, he is so this is my first time seeing him in person because I didn't go to any Reds Pirates games last year. He is so good. Oh my God, he's so good.
Yeah, and just his size and that gun that he has at short, and he you always wonder with a guy like him, and that's the question we're going to be asking about Elly De La Cruz: can he stick it short? Can he stick it short? This guy can stick it short, and he's also has light tower power. I talked a little bit in my not to pimp my newsletter too much, but
no, please do.
I talked a little bit about guys for other teams over the years who they play for other teams, and you just have a hard time hating them because you'd like to see them wearing a Reds uniform. And the Pirates have one of those in Andrew McCutcheon. Back in the day, Andrew McCutcheon's got oh man, I love the way the guy carries himself, the way he plays, the way his game is, and I would love to see him in a Reds uniform. And that's O'Neal Cruz. That guy is he's a star waiting to happen. He's already a star, frankly. I mean, he may be an all-star this year, and he's like 14 years old. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. The benefit that we know is at least he'll only be there about 5 years because when they're out of the deadline, his last year of arbitration, they'll move him because it's what they do. But then they have Henry Davis and Dylan Cruz coming. It's like, man, they're crazy. It's I feel like what I felt really good about when we had Jordan on, if anyone stayed and listened to that hour-long interview after you were on the show last day. Thank you. I really liked it. He said that Elly has a better feel for hitting than O'Neal. And I was like, oh, well, O'Neal has a really good feel for hitting, so I feel even better about Elly De La Cruz. So
yeah, every time I see O'Neal Cruz, I just start daydreaming about Elly De La Cruz. Just because
I do too.
Similar type players in a lot of ways, and height, and I don't know. I want Elly to get here sooner rather than later. I'm going to be banging this drum all year. Get him up here as soon as he's healthy.
I feel like there's nothing he could do wrong. I know he had a lot of strikeouts and that's a concern. And I know he's hurt to start the minor league season, but obviously all the attention he's getting, he loves, he is the total title player you want. And dude, he's wearing 44 for the Cincinnati Reds. Come on.
Maybe he didn't know. Maybe no one had told him, but if you're going to wear Aristides Aquino, no, wait a minute.
Mike Leake.
Mike Leake. What about Adam Dunn? What about Eric the Red? It's a special number. Eric Davis and Adam Dunn are 2 of my 5 favorite players in the history of this organization, and so Elly De La Cruz is about to move his way into that. I hope. Just fingers crossed.
I was a big Mike Leake guy, so 44 also means a lot to me. So I dig it.
Who disliked Mike Leake, except for maybe the Saks Fifth Avenue or wherever he was accused of shoplifting?
Other than
He
that,
found not guilty. Found not guilty. Let's not forget that part.
Yep. But yep. Obviously with them, the big question is, will Brian Roberts be on this team come July? It sounds like he is not very excited about being there, according to reports. And it sounds like there's some issues with agreeing to an extension. So Brian Roberts will be in an outfield with Aaron Judge at the trade deadline, won't he?
Ooh. Well, Roberts is another guy that I kind of like,
Dude, he's so good.
Yeah. I actually went to Pittsburgh. This would have been 21 when there were still some restrictions in who could get in the stadium. And the first MLB game I went to after all that mess was in Pittsburgh. And I had never seen him play live, and truthfully didn't know a whole lot about him at that point. And I was like, who's this guy? I mean, he really stood out just watching him. He had a great game that day, I guess. I was like, oh. Then, he ends up being an all-star. And there was the chatter that he's been wanting to trade. So, yeah, I'd be surprised if he's still there, and he's likely to go somewhere good, play in the playoffs, and then get a big contract, big free agent deal at some point, because he's good. He's a good guy.
Yeah, I mean, Adam Frazier did the same thing in Seattle. He wasn't necessarily very good last year, but he's doing it. He's doing it right for himself. So
Not
yeah,
bad.
the Pirates. Obviously, we kind of I don't expect much from them. I know they won yesterday. It's really cute that their fans act like they care about baseball. So.
All right.
God, I hate them so much. I hate them. Hate them. My hatred for the Cardinals is respect, because it's like, look, at the end of the day, they win and they're really good, and they make the right moves. They develop their players. It's like, yeah, they're annoying, but like, dude, they're awesome. Like, they're just a really good franchise. So, and look, they lost yesterday in a really fun game to Toronto, who have a very fun team.
Right. Yeah.
I would just go ahead and say I would not be worried about the Cardinals losing on opening day. I think they're going to win the Central by like 12, 13 games. Really, I do. And I know that might sound crazy to say. I just think they're like heads and shoulders better than every team in the league, in the division.
Yeah, well, they lose 10-9 or something. That was a wild game.
Yeah.
Crazy. But yeah, with the Cardinals, I think you're right. I don't see anyone that can challenge them in this division. I really don't. Which is unfortunate. And it's sort of that grudging respect you talk about, though. Their fans are insufferable. The best fans in baseball nonsense, just completely insufferable.
Hate that.
And I really want to, I do. I despise every single Cardinals fan that's ever lived, especially, the two that I'm going to text when I get off here, tell them they have to listen to this to make sure they hear me calling them out, because I hate them, despise them. But it's a thing where, what can you say, though? Because they run their organization exactly how the Reds should be running their organization. Roughly similar market sizes. There's no reason there's one reason, but there's no reason the Reds shouldn't be the Cardinals. They could be. We're not talking about comparing the Reds to the Yankees or the Dodgers. They could be St. Louis. And St. Louis has just been well run for many, many years. And so, yeah, tip of the cap, grudging respect. I hope you lose the next 161 games.
Yeah.
Jerks.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting, because all their starters, like Jordan mentioned last week, could be free agents at the end of the in the offseason. So it's like, and like Carrick said, like a pitching injury could really hurt them, but they're gonna score. I mean, they're gonna score a lot of runs. There's no issues whatsoever with that offense. I mean, when Lars Nootbaar is hitting like 6th under regular nights, like that's insane. That's crazy. And obviously you have Goldie and Arenado. I really laughed at what Wilson Contreras said about, just flat out being like, yeah, this is a better organization than the Cubs. You're like, oh man, you're going to be so hated when you guys go back to Wrigley in a couple weeks. Like, everyone's going to throw things at you. Like,
but it's true.
It is true.
I mean, he's not wrong, as much as I hate it.
Yeah, it is true. So yeah, they are what they are. Tip the cap angrily. Will never own a Cardinals hat. Stan Musial was super overrated. Albert Pujols really wasn't that great, and Mark McGwire's not in the Hall of Fame, not because of allegations, because he just really wasn't that good.
He kind of sucked, yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember or not, the year he had 70 home runs, they finished in 3rd place. So,
see,
that. Yeah,
man, 3rd place, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah,
I'd like the Reds to finish in 3rd place.
The Cubs were in the wild card that year. So, like, literally the only thing going on in baseball that year was those two, and their teams were not very good. I think the Cubs were like 83 and 79 that year and went to the wild card.
And yet everyone in America was watching every game.
Yeah, man.
for those teams.
I feel like
Wild time.
I feel like that's saved baseball. Honestly, I really do.
No, I think so. Yeah, no, it was right after the '94 strike, or a couple, 3 years later, and yeah, no, I think there's a good argument to be made.
Yeah, for sure. So the other interdivisional game was the Cubs and the Brewers, and curious your thoughts on the Brewers, because it's a lot of like, if you read like the national opinions, it's really like a lot of like, some people are really high on them. I shouldn't say really high, are pretty high on them to be a decent baseball team. And there's a lot of people that feel like they could be sellers by July. I kind of lean more on the potential sellers portion. I'm not worried about Corbin Burns. Look, one baseball game. Like we've been talking
He
about this
stunk.
Reds Pirates game. Yeah, he wasn't good. But like, is he going to do that a lot? Probably not. Yeah. But their offense is not exactly murderer's row. And it's like, the pitching rotation, anyone would love to have the rotation they have. But Jesse Winker batted second for them yesterday, Chad. Did you see his stat line?
Oh, I saw it, baby.
Yeah.
Not happy about it because I still like that guy, but he almost got him a golden Benson.
Yeah. Willie Adames hit third in their lineup yesterday.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it with this team. It's an interesting. I sort of feel like they and the Reds. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Corbin Burns is gone. They are Corbin Burns. They are a couple years ago, I thought that the Reds had a chance to turn a corner. That 21 season. If we just, or right before that 21 season, between 21, if we just did some things right, we had that fun team in 21. And if we made some moves, could have been a really good team. The team that fell out of the wild card race in September. And the Brewers were sort of there in the same spot where, and I thought they were better run than the Reds. And I thought they're going to be, a force to be dealt with in the next 5-6 years. And they've had some missteps and things haven't gone right. And I tell you, I'm not seeing it with this team. I love Jesse Winker still. I hope he does well. He's not looking good, but again, this is 2 years ago, I thought this Central has a chance in the next few years to be really good. Everybody except for the Pirates are going to be good. And now I'm like, well, maybe the Cardinals are going to be the only team that's good here. It's really, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, it's not the Central it was like even when the Reds were fighting for it in the early 2010s. You know what I mean? Like when the Cardinals were really good and the Brewers were good. And the Cubs obviously took up in the middle of the 2010s. Just had to go win a World Series, that whole thing.
Even the Pirates had a run there,
Yeah, that was cute, wasn't it? That was really cute.
It was sweet. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was cute. Freaking stupidest franchise. So on the other end of that is, of course, the Cubs, who were really busy this offseason. Give them credit where credit's due. They bring in Dansby Swanson. Hate the contract. Actually like it for the sake it's going to hurt the Cubs at some point, so I like that portion of it. They bring in Trey Mancini, who Golden Domer. I know you're not a Notre Dame guy like me, but that's okay.
It's true.
Yeah, bring in Eric Hosmer. But Marcus Stroman has a good game. Pitches 6 innings of shutout ball, has 8 strikeouts. I definitely if I've never bet a team to go 81-81 in my life, but I would totally bet the Cubs to go 81-81.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. I don't, but they're are they trying?
So right, that's the big question. Yeah.
So I mean, I appreciate the team is trying, but it's the stupid Cubs, and I mean, I look at that lineup and I'm like, I've never been big on Swanson. I mean, part of that, some of that goes back. I just didn't like him at Vanderbilt when they beat the University of Virginia Cavaliers in the College World Series one year. But I never thought he was going to hit well enough to deserve the money that he's being paid now. So I don't know. He looks good on a baseball card, I guess, but
that contract.
I think the Cubs will be okay sooner rather than later, but I don't know that I'm seeing it with this year's team. I'm not impressed with this Central. The Reds may win it, is what I'm saying. The Reds may win this division, basically, is what I'm telling you.
When they're going to go ahead at the break, and they're going to get all these guys the Brewers sell. Just don't worry, guys. It's going to be all right. Actually, come to think of it, I don't think I'd want anyone the Brewers. Like, I don't want Willie Adames because I don't want him to take yet another shortstop. I don't want Christian Yelich because he has just had this weird fall off since like he won the MVP. I mean, I would take Corbin Burns, but he'd be the fourth starter.
That's what I was going to say, fourth or fifth. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Connor Overton.
He's no Levi Stout.
Right. Yeah, but who is?
Exactly. That's what we say here every week.
Yeah. So we're in agreement. The Cardinals probably win this by double digits if they stay healthy.
I don't see how they can't. Well, I guess if they're not healthy, that might be the one way. But yeah, I think so. Unfortunately, but I'm accustomed to it.
If they're not healthy, they probably still win it by like winning like 84 games. Like,
yeah. They'll still win it by 12 games, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll say over here on the chat. I don't know if you want to drop in Pat Maguch's last comment, but it's the most true thing he's ever said here. Mostly, I just wanted to say Pat Maguch.
Yes.
If you've been to Wrigley and you've been in those restrooms with the troughs and it's horrible.
Yeah,
it's horrible. Oof.
You know who else does that? Is Notre Dame Stadium, and it's like
really?
Also very uncomfortable. Yes.
Oof.
Yeah, it's not attractive at all.
No, not a good look.
No. So tonight was supposed to be the beginning of the minor league season. Obviously, some weather is coming to us in the East and the Midwest. If you are watching in New York, going through that, please stay safe. We want to have you guys here each and every week for the Riverfront shows. Obviously, so Louisville was in Nashville, so their game got postponed. Wanted to see that, but dude, so I mentioned Carrick earlier, who's in the chat. Carrick sends me a lot of like what's going on in the minor leagues, and also it's a great Facebook group. Everyone check out Cincinnati Reds Farm System if you're a Facebooker still in 2023. He gives you so much information. It's really great, especially for guys like us who do this. It's like a tame your expectations for the bats because Ellie's there, hurt. I think CES is hurt. Yeah, like you mentioned earlier. A few different guys who are in and out. But I think that I'm going to have to make the pilgrimage up to some Dayton Dragons games this year, Chad. It's about 45 minutes from my house.
Yeah.
Sounds like old Mr. Edwin Arroyo will be spending some time with the Dragons. So I think I'm going to go say hello and introduce myself. Maybe bring him on the show.
Definitely.
If he's willing. And my good friend Jay Allen will also be there, it sounds like, for a minute. Really like Jay Allen. I'm stoked. Look, I know at the end of the day, Major League wins and losses are all that matters, is what matters the most. But I'm pretty excited to go see the Dragons play.
Always a good time. I've only been to probably 4 or 5 games there in Dayton, but man, it's been a blast every time. They do a great job that franchise does year after year. And yeah, gonna be some real talent there. I remember I think probably the first time I went was Jay Bruce was there, and it's just it was the excitement that you're talking about was certainly present that night. I was there when Billy Hamilton was there, who just the greatest player in the history of the Reds. Certainly the greatest player in the history of the Dragons. So yeah, I was actually looking forward to watching. I was sort of hopeful that Louisville in their opening game, we'd be able to watch it, and you would have Votto on a rehab assignment, and that you'd have Encarnacion Strand and Ellie De La Cruz in the lineup. I wanted to see those three together after what we just saw this spring. I thought that's gonna be fun, and maybe we'll see it at some point, depending on how long Votto is out. But I don't know. Yeah, there'll be some fun stuff to watch in the minors this season if you enjoy that sort of thing, and we may have to watch it. Some of these Reds games maybe not be holding our attention.
I think Carlos just quit the show.
He's not a prospect hugger.
No. Hates talking prospects. I shouldn't say hates it, but does not invest in as much as we do.
Well, I don't invest in as much as you do. I'm kind of in between you two, I think. I'm just like, if once they get to single A, I'll start thinking about them, and they're double A. Okay, I'll pay attention, but I've been burned too many times in the past on these guys, so I can't predict who's going to be good and who's not. But
our Ben Zobrist,
except for Ellie De La Cruz.
Yeah, that's basically our current Ben Zobrist was like we thought was going to be the best player to play baseball. Like
he's the one that burned me. Yeah, Nick Senzel.
I think him being disappointing might have set the franchise back a couple years. And this isn't me like blaming the franchise. It's not even me blaming Nick Senzel. If he's who he's supposed to be and who he was coming up, I don't think we're having these conversations we're having right now.
I think there's some. That's probably a longer conversation. I think we could probably track it back. I think really be mad at. So the cautionary tale for me for there have been very few can't miss guys.
Yeah.
In the Reds organization in terms of prospects. He was one of those. He was a can't miss guy. He was drafted number 2 overall. He was, a top 5 prospect in all of baseball, and he performed. He performed in the minor leagues exactly like you would expect he would coming out of college at Tennessee. And then the injury stuff happened, and then didn't perform. Whatever the reason is that it happened, he got to the precipice of the big leagues, and you would have thought everything tells you this guy's going to be a star, or at least an above average big leaguer, and it hadn't happened. And so that's why I don't trust any of these guys until they actually do it. Yeah, we're gonna have to go down that rabbit hole. The alternate history of the Reds post Senzel.
I'm a big Marvel Comics guy. Love it. Literally have Spider-Man tattooed on me. And they do the comic book series of What If, where they show like the alternate realities, and it's really, really good. Actually, Disney Plus did a series on it for those of you who are into that kind of thing. Really, really fun. We could do the Reds What If, and Nick Senzel is like Nick Senzel and Ken Griffey Jr. are the two, like, what if they are healthy?
Yeah,
because it's like that 2000s team, man. It's always funny to me. They're like, he didn't really play well, but he hit like 300 home runs here. I think Johnny Bench hit 389. Like, So,
yeah. Now, about my what if is, what if the Reds had actually tried to get some pitchers for that Ken Griffey Jr., Austin Kearns, Adam Dunn team? That scored so many runs. That team would have been. And anyway, whatever. We're mark this down. We're going to do that one of these nights.
That is going to be a really fun. We're going to need bourbon that night, just because there's going to be a lot of pain that's brought back up.
There's always pain when you're talking about the Reds.
Yeah, it's for sure. All right, I want to end on this before we get out of here, because I believe you're friends with him as well. Our friend Ken, who people know on Twitter as Obscure Former Reds. Really, really fun Twitter account, by the way.
Great.
Fun Twitter account.
Great follow.
Had a good group of photos he took yesterday at the ballpark of people with jerseys that were just unbelievable. That were like just fantastic.
Yeah. Obscure former Reds. Yeah.
Yeah, literally. Like, perfect. I mean, this is a guy who walks around wearing a Ryan LaVarnway jersey. I don't know if, like I said, Ken lives the gimmick, like more than Ric Flair lives the gimmick. Ken lives the gimmick. And so I sent you a picture yesterday. Someone wearing a Brian Reith jersey, to which Carlos said, "I don't know who that is." And I said, "That's okay, because not many people probably do." I'm trying to think what would be like your favorite obscure Reds jersey you could have. Like, is Dontrelle Willis an obscure former Red? Because that was really fun for like 2 months. And then, like, things just kind of happened when the Dontrelle Willis way, unfortunately. But like those 2 months, like I went to a game where they played the Nationals and he was 3 for 3 at the plate and pitched 7 innings. That was pretty fun. Yeah.
I guess it depends on what you mean by obscure, because, he was a pretty good player for a while, but not in Cincinnati, but he's certainly an obscure former Red for the purposes of this exercise. So that'd be a good one. LaVarnway is a pretty solid one.
That is a good one.
Brian LaVarnway is a solid one. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think I would like to have somebody like from Dan Billardello or somebody from the 80s,
Yeah.
Alex Trevino. That's who I want to see somebody wearing a mid 80s Reds uniform with Junior Kennedy's name on it or something. So
you joked earlier about someone being a trivia question. Just thinking like 10 years when you're looking at stuff and you're going to be like, Matt Kemp played for the Reds. Like, we're forever going to be like,
when did that happen?
Right. Yeah. So it's always going to be a funny thing. I was like 10 games. Like, it was like, he was part of the Homer Bailey trade, and that was it. Yeah. Pat says, can't wait to get a Chad Pinder Reds jersey. Love it.
Absolutely. Oh, Robin Jennings says, Robin Jennings. I thought that guy was going to be good. I don't know.
Yeah. I regret selling my Deion Sanders Reds jersey. I want to get it back. Deion's not an obscure former Red. He was actually really, really good with the Reds for some reason. Stole a lot of bases. But I was at the game when the ball bounced off his head in the foul territory when I was a kid.
Nice.
When he was playing left field at Riverfront. That was pretty cool. For a guy who played corner, had some trouble tracking down some balls. So
yeah, he seemed to do okay on the football field though. So
yeah, probably like one of my favorite athletes ever. Not gonna lie. So
more so than Adam Dunn, former
I mean,
college football player Adam Dunn, quarterback, University of Texas.
Was it in our Slack the other day? I brought up the pain of like we were talking about like kind of like that rabbit hole we were goofing about, but I brought up like how mad I was as a kid when the Reds traded Denny Nagel to the Yankees and in return got Michigan Wolverine quarterback Drew Henson.
Drew Henson. I'd forgotten about Drew Henson.
Yeah. Later was a starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah. Nagel was like really good here. So that was really, really a big bummer for me.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. Did you ever hear
Colorado, I think, right?
Yeah, went to the Yankees and went to the Rockies.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear Jamie's story about Denny Nagel?
For some reason, that's pricking something here in my memory, but I can't remember the story.
When Jamie was on the grounds crew, they were playing the Giants, and Barry Bonds hit 2 homers off him. And he was asking the grounds crew if they knew how to get him out. And he was like, no, really, like, I don't have an answer.
I don't think I've heard that.
Yeah. So he told me that story. I thought that was pretty funny.
That is funny. He wasn't the only one that couldn't get Barry Bonds out at that time. So
no, absolutely not. But hey, we could do this forever. I love working with Chad. I love hanging out with you guys every weekend. So thanks for this, especially Friday nights aren't normal. It was just kind of a family thing. My family and I always get together for WrestleMania, and that just happened to be Sunday. So I had to make sure I enjoyed some time with them. So thank you guys so much for moving your schedule around to hang out with us tonight. We're definitely appreciative. Obviously, we're going to have the Riverfront live show every Friday on their podcast feed. We're going to have Late Night Reds back next week I know it's Easter Sunday. We'll be back on Sunday nights. So at 9 Eastern. Worked out I actually, that time worked out way better than I thought it would. I love the fact that people are like, oh yeah, this is like my last thing before I go to work on Monday. It's a really cool feeling. Like we're having so much fun. We're really happy part of the Riverfront. I really am so excited to be here. Look, if you guys aren't already, I say it here, you can see on the banner, join our Patreon. It's not expensive. The Slack channel is a lot of fun. Great people, great interaction. We love talking with you guys in there. We love getting feedback on the shows in there. It means a lot to us. So please just take a second to go to Patreon/RiverfrontCincy. We will be doing do we have a hangout plan soon? Do you know?
Yeah, we usually do that the first Monday of the month, but I'm not sure it's going to happen this month. We may have to shift it next week. We'll have an announcement on that. We do a hangout with the family every month. It's always fun. Basically, just get together on Zoom and hang out. And we'll get to watch a Reds game while we're doing it this time.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll love that. We'll keep you guys posted there. But also take a second to go to the website, buy some cool gear. I believe I talked to your brother, and he said he's going to be working on getting a Soul Glow t-shirt up soon.
It's coming.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see that. But thank you guys so much. Have a great weekend. For those who celebrate, enjoy your WrestleMania. If not, just enjoy your weekend. And I'll see you guys Easter Sunday.